Welcome user to spawn point.
Alright, and welcome to Kelly's Corner episode 2. And if you could tell by the title of it, the main subject of this episode is Are Battle Royales Dead? Today my guest is, you might know him, his name is Big Mitch 1015. He streams on Twitch and he has a YouTube channel, I believe. He's also known as, or the name I mostly know him by, is James. So, welcome James.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Alright, cool. Now, little background. How long have you actually? Are you a fairly big fan of Battle Royales, or?
Yeah, so I think the games that I've put the most time in my life, other than Minecraft, because everyone's had a
Yeah.
Minecraft phase.
Oh, yeah.
I've been playing Fortnite, especially since October of 2017.
So roughly like when it first came out and stuff.
Yeah, a couple months after it came out. And so it was like season 1. That's a humble flex. And
Yeah.
then Apex is like the other one. I played that the day it came out.
Okay.
And then Warzone I've played a little bit. Not my favorite
Right.
though. But yeah, so
That's
I
rare.
have a lot of experience with Battle Royale.
Okay. We're gonna talk about actually those three that you mentioned throughout this episode. But to start, I'm just gonna give a brief just a very quick brief history on Battle Royales as a whole, in case you've been under a rock or something and you don't know what Battle Royales are. In fact, actually, they started roughly back in 2017, where the first one was actually called Z1, or I think it's H1Z1 or something like that.
H1Z1, yeah,
Yeah.
H1Z1.
It was originally a zombie survival game, and they realized that they could make a battle mode where they would drop a bunch of people in, and it would be last one standing kind of game mode, which is what Battle Royale became. From there, games like PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, came up, which was the most popular at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that is the one that sort of dominated the whole Battle Royale genre, and still somewhat does today, arguably, I think, is Fortnite, which is kind of ironic because when I was doing a little bit of research for this, it was actually in development all the way back in 2011.
Yep. It was originally going to be a player versus environment game.
Yeah.
Where you
like
have
a survival
to
game.
Right. And I just want to throw something in there, Kelly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I think you missed a really important step in the Battle Royale genre.
Oh, really?
Going back to the Minecraft days, on servers, you would play Minecraft Hunger Games.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which
That's
was
still around today, isn't it?
It is, and Hunger Games, the game mode is really just strictly a Battle Royale. Like everyone starts at the center, there's a center chest spawn, and then you run off into the map, and the storm closes in, and then the last one standing wins. I think that was a huge part in starting the Battle Royale genre, and I think it created the topic of conversation for like, wow, this is something that we can make whole games out of rather than just a mini game. And so I think that definitely sparked a lot as well, along with H1Z1 and PUBG and all those.
Right. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it's true. Like, I think a lot of people are interested in doing player versus player kind of stuff. So it's kind of surprising that this game mode, like, to me, I was sort of surprised that the game mode wasn't older than it was, but it makes sense, like you said, with the Hunger Games for Minecraft, that it sort of started there. Anyway, what I was saying is, like, with Fortnite, they quickly jumped on the bandwagon of it too, and they made a game mode for it. And then obviously other games that we're going to touch on a little bit later, such as Apex Legends, came out, and it came out completely free, which is a big reason why it was so popular for, I think, roughly around 2 months after it came out. And then obviously the most recent one of Call of Duty Warzone, which is entirely free as well. That has a fairly big following behind it, because a lot of people enjoyed the Call of Duty Blackout Battle Royale, and also just people who enjoy COD in general. Just a couple of statistics real quick. Fortnite in its first year, just the battle royale mode, raked in around 125 million players in roughly a year's span of time. So it's kind of interesting that they brought in that many people.
Mhm.
Like I said, the title of this episode is our battle royales dying? And before we recorded this, you actually said your answer, James. I'm gonna ask you now, and then we'll sort of elaborate more on it later.
Mhm.
So, do you think battle royales are dying, like a lot of people are saying?
I think to an extent. I think
Okay.
certain genres can only last so long because
Fair.
it gets to a point of where what's different, what's new, and not necessarily with when you create a new game. Yeah, there's going to be new aspects. Like when Apex came out, you had abilities, you had different. It was like legend based, so like you get to pick a class,
Right.
and with Warzone, it's like more of like I think we call it realistic.
Yeah.
But the problem is you do the same thing every game. You
There's
drop
only
out.
so much you can change.
Right. Overall, it's the same game, and you're playing the same thing over and over again, and you can only have so many different outcomes.
Right.
Um. So yeah, that's kind of.
Right. Okay. And like I said, throughout this whole episode, we're gonna sort of elaborate more on that. But another statistic that I looked up that I thought was interesting is in 2018, Fortnite. A lot of these statistics I mainly focused on Fortnite since it clearly is the biggest battle royale even
It's the king.
today. Yeah. So it's easiest to get the numbers from that game compared to some of the others. So in 2018, Fortnite it was still fairly new to the whole like gaming world, and it made around $3 billion in that year. Then according to a couple reports and stuff in 2019, their numbers dropped down to 1.8 billion. That's still over $1 billion. Like it's not like they're hemorrhaging money or anything.
Mhm.
But it's clearly they only made a little more than half of what they made the year before. So something clearly has changed over time to make players either just spend less money on like cosmetics and stuff, but also probably play the game less as well.
I definitely think that when you have such a big boom, what Fortnite was, like it went from
Yeah.
no one knew about it to everyone knew about it.
Yeah.
I
I mean, it
think
was
it
the
can
biggest game on Twitch for God knows how long.
months, like
Yeah.
without any competition.
Right.
And it's to this day, it's still always top 10 at
Yeah.
least.
Like, I'll mention a little bit later, because I wanted to actually talk about that, because I remember before we were actually playing and we looked at the top 10, games on Twitch. Just right now, as I pull it up real quick, the number one category, which is, I always think is funny, is just chatting, with around 321,000 people watching. Number two is Grand Theft Auto 5. The third one is Fortnite with 210,000. Then there's Counter Strike, League of Legends, Valorant, then Call of Duty. And it's ironic because all these things always change. Like these games are usually always the ones at the top of the list. Earlier today, I saw and Valorant and Call of Duty Modern Warfare were actually above Fortnite. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare, most of the streams that I saw of that were of Warzone, which is the battle royale for it. Um, I just think it's interesting how, like you said, over time, like the game itself skyrocketed to the top, and now it's sort of going down. It's not completely falling off, but it's definitely declined. And I think the start of that decline actually happened when Apex Legends came out,
Mm-hmm.
which was in, I believe, February of 2019.
Correct.
Yeah. Um, right when that game came out, uh, it skyrocketed to the top of the like Twitch chart, and a lot of people were playing it because a big selling point of it compared to PUBG, and I think even Fortnite at the time, because I think at the time you still had to pay for it.
No,
Thing or no?
Fortnite from the beginning, the battle royale version of Fortnite has always been free.
That's right. It was just the survival that changed.
Save the World
Right.
is always, and actually still to this day is still paid a full game, a full paid game.
Oh, really? I
And
thought you had to.
yeah, no, and it they thought they were gonna change it, and they never did, to a free, but it is still, it's still a full paid game.
Still to pay.
Yeah, and the battle royale is technically still listed as a beta game.
Which is that's funny. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I was saying, a big selling point though, even though Fortnite yes is also free, but a big selling point for Apex was the fact that it came out completely free as well. And at the time you also had Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Their version of Battle Royale was coming out, I think, roughly at the same time, if not a little bit before Apex. But the issue with that one was you still had to buy the entire game to play that one. So that one was sort of hit or miss because there were people that loved Call of Duty and already had the game, so they'd buy it. They'd either buy it and play it, or they'd play it because they already had the game. But Apex was one that it was completely free, and it was made by EA, and a lot of people rushed to it because, like you said earlier, it had different like different characters you could use with different
Yeah,
abilities.
it's class based. Yeah, class based.
Right. Personally, for me, when the game came out, I played it a little bit. I enjoyed how it felt because it felt somewhat like a Call of Duty or even sort of like Destiny in a way. And at the time, I was still a fan of that series, so I personally liked it at the time. But actually, looking back on it, I played it recently for footage. Where if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you're probably watching footage of Apex or whatever. So when I was playing that for that, I really found it hard to enjoy it because for me it felt weird because one, it seemed like the map was so big compared to all the people, so I couldn't really find anyone. But also it felt almost clunky to me in some ways compared to say Fortnite or even Warzone, because some of the mechanics, while they were interesting, like they actually were the first ones to introduce the whole pinging, some of the pinging mechanism ideas, and the whole like respawning thing, which Fortnite actually picked up on and added it to their own game. So Apex did bring in a lot of interesting components to the genre. As a whole, I personally didn't enjoy it. And I especially didn't enjoy it because after the big boom for like the 2 months, I don't know, you probably know about it, but apparently EA actually paid a lot of top streamers to stream Apex. And when that kind of came out, people started watching it, I think, less and less.
Well, here's the thing. Like, you can do that. Like, companies do that all the time. Like, people,
Right.
there are big streamers that are paid by Epic Games to stream Fortnite, but yet they still watch Fortnite every day. They still stream
Right.
Fortnite every day. I just think a big turnoff for Apex was that there's little things. The fact that you can only hold 2 weapons at a time is something that I always found an issue with, because going from Fortnite to Apex, with Fortnite you have 5 slots, which means you can hold up to 5 weapons or 5 different kinds of meds or anything like that. But with Apex, you only have the 2 slots, and then you have another thing for meds and another thing for throwables. And so, but
Yeah,
I
you have your
definitely
backpack.
right, yeah, and I definitely did like some things that Apex put out, like the respawning and the pinging, because Fortnite took those within the next couple of months And I think the way that
Yeah.
Fortnite did it was pretty much a direct ripoff of Apex, but it
Yeah.
definitely made the game better.
Better I think in some ways because they take it like they have the van and you take the car to the van and you spawn in there rather than making a big helicarrier come down and drop you down.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it a little bit less of a big deal that you're being coming back in. Similar to sorry, go ahead.
Well, something I will say is that with Fortnite, if you reboot someone, a huge beacon shines above the reboot van, from the reboot van all the way up to the
That's
sky.
true.
And also, if you have visual sound effects on from quite a distance away, you can see someone got rebooted. As well as someone like, in the kill feed, it'll say so and so was rebooted. So I think that there's definitely still ways that they make it like, hey guys, over here there's someone that got rebooted, but it's definitely not like, holy shit, the freaking bus is coming back around to drop off someone.
I think you're right though. Like Fortnite did copy a lot of what Apex did, which I think in some ways was good because it also changed. I think it changed how battle royales were done as a whole. Because then if you look at Warzone, I think when that one came out, because it came out a little bit after Modern Warfare, they actually made that one free. So even if you didn't want to get Modern Warfare, you could play Warzone and download that for free and do whatever with it. And they took similar things that were both in Apex and in Fortnite and utilized them in a way like that fit the whole Call of Duty genre. You still had all the guns and everything from Modern Warfare and everything like that. Their respawn system was literally you would fly in a plane and just jump down. You had supply crates, which I think are loadouts, which I think are really interesting because then you could actually get a preset loadout that you already have from, say, multiplayer or something like that. So I thought that's really interesting. Especially if you're a Call of Duty fan, it makes a lot of sense that you'd also like Warzone. But you said you played Warzone, but you're not crazy about it. What do you like? What do you think about Warzone?
It definitely had like it's a smooth game. I will say that it is really smooth. It's definitely a lot smoother than I think Fortnite, and I also think Apex. It's a lot smoother than both of those games. Just like gameplay, it's like personal feel. Um,
Right.
the thing that pushes me away from it is just the fact that I was never really big into Call of Duty, and it just feels like I'm playing Call of Duty, and so like it's just hard for me to stay engaged in it.
Hard to get into it.
Yeah.
That's fair. I grew up on like the first game I ever really played when I got a PS4 was Black Ops 2, so that's why I like it. I think right now in the scope of like if you look at all battle royales, PUBG still exists, but to be honest, I never really see it streamed anymore. It's never really used to be at the top, like one of the top games on Twitch that people would watch, and now you really never see it up there. Um, so it's sort of dropped off completely, and I think their problem was the fact that they sort of not necessarily refused, but they chose not to upgrade the game and make changes based on what some of the other battle royales were doing, and we're also improving on what PUBG did as well. So,
I just looked actually, and it was 30th on Twitch right now
oh,
as of recording,
right.
which is really low, and it only had 10,000 viewers total.
Yeah, and that's really like, I mean, that's really sad compared to what it used to have, because it used to have like numbers like Fortnite and stuff like that with roughly 100,000 if not more. Yeah, like going back to Warzone, I do agree. It feels very smooth and stuff like that, and it does feel like a regular Call of Duty, and that's why I think it's done really well for itself. But now moving on to really what this episode is about, which is like you said earlier, our battle royale is dying. And I think the best way to look at that is Fortnite. Like I said earlier, with the numbers, like they've gone down with how much money they've made. Still over $1 billion, so again, it's not like they're in the black, but they are losing money. And I think the reason why I wanted to do this episode at this time is because at the time of recording this, the season 2 of Fortnite ends in I think 3 days after they moved it back a week.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
somewhere around there.
right. So if you look at Fortnite itself, if you look at some of the top streamers or people that used to stream it, such as Ninja, Cypher, a lot of the big names, they still play it every once in a while. One that I've been looking into recently has been Ninja because he's considered to be the biggest Fortnite player, like
Oh,
the biggest one that they
he's
watch.
by far the poster boy of Fortnite.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
I mean,
And
he
he's
has
played
his
it
own
once.
skin.
Yeah, literally, he has his own skin in the game, and he's
Yeah.
played it once in the
Yeah.
last like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean he still posts Fortnite videos like on his YouTube and stuff like that. But I don't. From that being said, I don't know if maybe he's just taking, for the most part, it's obvious that he's taking a stream and he's backing that up to make videos. But the videos that he's been putting out, I don't know if they've been from one stream or if they've been from multiple. But even still, like that sort of goes to what I was getting at is some of the biggest names in Fortnite aren't playing Fortnite as much as they used to. And I think part of the reason is they've come out and they've stated their issues with the reasons why. Like I know with the recent patch they did, they sort of answered one of the biggest problems that a lot of streamers and professional Fortnite players were having, which was the fact that you could hook up a controller to PC and you had better aim assist.
you had aim assist in general.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
had aim
shouldn't.
assist in general.
You shouldn't have aim assist on a PC. I'm sorry, but like
No.
you shouldn't.
No, and to me that I agree. Like I don't think you should, because if you're playing on PC and you want to play a controller, why not just play on console?
Why not? Well, here's
Because
here's a better thing, and the reason I think that I can debunk that argument for you, Kelly, is
Sure.
why would you play on console if you can have better performance on a computer? And it's also the
That's true.
point where on a computer, you can run it better. It's everything just feels better. It's optimized to play games. But then with the controller, why is it that you can't be put in controller lobbies? Because therefore you have no real advantage over everyone else. You're still on controller, you still have your aim assist, but you're not put in keyboard and mouse lobbies with everyone else.
Right. And I agree with that because again I'm a console player. I don't really play on PC. I'm not the best at keyboard and mouse, so to be honest, if I were to play Fortnite on PC, I would probably use a controller. You're right though. It does seem it is very unfair that just because you use a controller through PC you get aim assist, which makes it very unfair to people that use mouse and keyboard. And I think yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people either left the game entirely or they stopped they just didn't play it as much because that was such a big issue at the time. I think it still is now, but I feel like it's not as much from what I've heard just because the new patch they have decreased the amount of aim assist on for controllers for that. It doesn't affect console at all, which again, like that's a whole other scenario or a whole other world really compared to on PC. But a lot of the big names like Ninja and Cypher, and a couple others too. I'm trying to think of names like
Tfue.
Clockland, I guess is another one. Which one?
Tfue is a huge one that he's straight up said he's not playing Fortnite anymore.
Right. it's like it became such a big issue. That's why a lot of people left. And again, if you have influencers and stuff like that leaving the game, you're gonna have other people leave the game as well.
Right.
Um, I think another issue too that I've seen Cypher I think recently talk about is this recent season. Obviously, because of the whole COVID-19 thing and everything that's been going on recently, it's sort of out of their control. They can't have people come in and work at Epic to improve and get ready for the next season. So that's part of the reason why season 2 is was extended for so long, and it's nothing seems to really have been changed drastically. But he talked about how it's kind of gotten stale a little bit just because there isn't much to do now. If you play fairly consistently, you've beaten the battle pass, you've gotten to even like 150 or whatever, and you've gotten all your skins gold and stuff. You completed pretty much what there is to do for this season until the next season.
Hmm.
Granted, they added in the Party Royale mode, which is interesting, and they had the whole Travis Scott concert, which I saw we actually posted a video on it here on Spawn Point, so if you want, go check it out. But that was a really awesome concert. What's There really wasn't anything to keep them playing after that concert happened, I think.
Right. Something to add on to it on like reasons why people are stopping playing is they Epic lost their communication and lost their trust with the community. And what I mean by that is when there used to be an update, whenever there was an update, it used to be weekly. Like every Thursday, I believe it was, you'd get a new update and there'd be like new guns, things would get tweaked, and then on that day that the update came out, Epic Games would post patch notes and they would tell you everything that they changed, everything they got vaulted, everything like that in a clear cut
Yeah.
form. But now they don't do that. The only thing that they
Yeah,
say is
now
happening,
they
it's
send
just
it to content creators still, but it's not to the entire public anymore, which is
right. Well, where's my patch notes?
I know, I'm the only one part of Spawn Point that really plays Fortnite,
Right.
but yeah, no, I agree with you. The only reason why I know that content creators still do is because Ali A is another big Fortnite player, and he came out and he put up a patch notes thing that he got sent or something that had what they changed and stuff. And I think I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people stopped um felt like Epic was sort of hiding things that they were doing or whatever to the game to sort of be shady about some things when in some ways it's just there's no like malicious intent to it. In others it's like why aren't you just being more open about stuff you're changing to the game? Um
Right.
they
No,
I know like sorry, go ahead.
what I was gonna say was, it's like, when you change something like this, where you have like such a control over such a big group of gamers that are playing your game every day, and especially, and I hope that we can get into this somewhere into this episode about competitive play with Fortnite and how that's hurting it. But when you have such a big competitive basis of your player base
Right.
is competitive players, like if you change things without telling them, that is not fair to them. And especially a lot of these, there's been updates where like the same week as like big tournaments, like big money tournaments that are like life changing money, and they don't tell you what has changed. That is not fair in my
Right.
eyes.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Like, especially in a world now where more and more people want gaming developers to be more transparent with the games that they're making or the updates that they're doing to those games. A lot of pretty much every game I can think of, there's an easy way to find the patch notes for, but Fortnite is the one that sort of doesn't do that anymore. Since you brought it up though, just to sort of move on, I guess to another part of it, you mentioned competitive play. I actually don't know much of it because, as I'm sure the people, if you're watching this on our YouTube and stuff like that, you're probably watching some the Fortnite footage I recorded. I'm not the best at it. I'm really not. But I mean, I'm decent, but I'm nowhere near like competitive level. Have you done competitive, or is it just more about like the competitive scene? 'Cause I know you watch it, and you went to one of the Fortnite tournaments, didn't you?
Yeah, so all right, let's see where to start here. So to answer your first question about if I've ever played competitive, um no, I haven't put in the time to like really practice to get good enough to play competitively, and I know that like if I really wanted to, I could, because I'm not terrible,
Right.
I'm not great, but like I knew if I practiced, for 8 hours a day like these pros do, I could do it. But
Right.
I'm pretty adamant in the world of competitive Fortnite, and I know like all the drama and things like that. Um, so like I'm more of like an outsider when it comes to that. But I did actually attend in person the first ever Fortnite World Cup, which was in New York City, in Queens, New York. It was held at the same place where the U.S. Open for tennis is held. Uh,
Oh
what an
wow.
what an event that was. They had like a whole like festival outside. Everything was Fortnite themed. Everything was like you had like events that you had to go through, like and challenges you had to do outside the arena. But anyway, to get inside to the competitive part, you had 18,000 people live in person watching a competitive Fortnite tournament. And it was both creative duos and solos tournaments that they had. And the way that it worked was, I believe it was 5 games. I think it was 5 games for both duos and solos, and then the person with the most points, and the point system varies depending on the tournament, and the person with the most points at the end of the 5 games wins, obviously. And
Right.
the thing that made it such a big spectacle was that the solo World Cup champion won $3 million. three
Wow.
million dollars. That it was the single largest prize pool in esports history. And for duos, it was also $3 million to split. So each player won $1.5 million for the duo, the winning
Wow.
team. But then the other thing is, even if you placed, I think it was anywhere from like 60th to 100th, in because there's 100 teams or 100 players. If you
Right.
placed anywhere from 60th to 100th, you got like $50,000. So you walked out of there just by playing. You walked out of there with like $50,000.
Wow. So there's like definitely been money in the game and stuff like that. I think like you said earlier with the whole patch notes thing, just sort of bring it around again. It's kind of like you said, it's kind of dumb that they don't post those because there's a lot of money involved in this, especially for those competitive players.
Mm-hmm.
So if Epic doesn't sort of treat it seriously, neither will they, I guess.
And to make it more of a serious thing, kind of like piggybacking off of what you said, is like not
Yeah.
only is it a lot of money, but it's life changing money for a lot of people.
Right.
Like just if you think about it, if you went to the World Cup and you competed, that's $50,000 guaranteed,
Right.
at least. And I think the thing that killed it, that killed competitive Fortnite, and then to kind of go on to the whole how this ties into how Fortnite is dying,
Right.
is it was too much too fast.
Definitely. Yeah.
They made it such a big deal, and like competitive Fortnite went from like, wow, this game should not be competitive, to holy crap, we need to work every single day, 8 hours a day to train to get good enough to win possibly $3 million. And it's
Right.
like that whole mindset change for the game, I think, caused so many people to take the game more seriously, but then it also pushed people away because they didn't want to take it
Yeah.
seriously. and they don't want to have to worry about these people who we call in the gamer world the sweaties, who just run around
Right.
and just crank 90s all the time. They didn't want to
Yeah.
worry about that. And so like that lost a lot of players. And to this day, unless you're like decent, you're going to get absolutely destroyed every single game.
Right. It sort of took a lot of the fun out of the game
For the
and
casual
stuff.
player.
Yeah. Which I know
sure.
is why they introduced skill-based like matchmaking and stuff like that, and that was another big thing. Like when that first came out, there were a lot of streamers and stuff that hated it. They took it away, and then they brought it back even.
Well, see, here's my problem with skill-based matchmaking. The problem with it in Fortnite, it's so easy to level up. If you play like let's say 2 to 3 hours a day, right, which is a pretty basic amount for playing a video game a day, I would say.
Right.
If you play for 2 to 3 hours a day and you're doing challenges, it's like you're giving yourself something to do. You're not just simply playing the game. Like you're doing the challenges. You're trying to get the skins. You're trying to complete the battle pass. If you're doing all those things, you level up really easily. Now, I play Fortnite pretty much every day with the exception of like a couple days off because I mostly stream Fortnite. And so
Right.
2 to 3 hours a day, I'm level 211 right now. And so if you go to skill-based matchmaking, you don't have to be that good to get that high of a level, but you're playing other people who are really, really good. And so I think that there's a point where skill-based matchmaking makes sense, but it also like really hurts the casual player
Right.
again.
But that being said, though, I noticed recently, because this kind of ties into the next thing I was gonna briefly mention about is like I know there's also been a lot of problems with bots as well, like just AI players and stuff like that. Like I know Cypher, he did a thing where I guess a fan or something gave him a program to see how many bots were in a game. I guess during a solo game he found out that there were like 89 bots or something like that in one of his solos. So there were only 11 actual players in his game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I think
awesome.
it's funny. Yeah. But and that's why I don't mind it. I don't mind it too much because like I've been last couple games I played and stuff like that, I faced a lot of bots and it's an easy kill, so it makes you feel good in a way. Especially if you're someone like me, you're not the best at the game, makes you feel better than you actually are.
Yeah.
But I think for skill-based matchmaking, I don't know if it's maybe they changed how they did it, whether it's based on your own stats or if it's still your level. But I noticed like so I've leveled up because I'm roughly around like 111 right now because I beat the battle pass and stuff like that too. But
Congrats.
I know it was a grind. Um, but I really wanted that Midas skin. That
Yeah,
was
he's
the
dope.
only reason why I
dope.
wanted him. Like I haven't really noticed much of a difference from say 111 or 113 wherever I'm at now compared to what I was at like maybe level 50. The only thing I notice is I personally have gotten better like playing the game, but also like with the building aspect, which is like the main thing that makes Fortnite. Like I figured out how to change the controls on my controller to make building a lot easier. So once I figured that out, it made it so much easier and so much more fun to play it.
I fully
Like
switched to keyboard and mouse.
yeah, I know. I was gonna mention that like you still play on PS4, but you just play with keyboard and mouse though, right?
Yeah, so like literally just recently did I switch to keyboard and mouse because I was playing on it. I was like, because my controller actually broke. The controller I used broke, and so I was like, I need.
Did you like break it or did it just break?
No, it actually just broke. Yeah, it wasn't me
Okay.
this time.
Okay.
It wasn't me this time.
This
I had
time.
I had like stick drift. So basically, like no matter what I would
Yep.
do, it would basically just like keep turning me.
Yeah, our friend Andy, he had issues with that with a controller of his too.
Sucks.
But yeah, anyway, like going back to the whole skill-based matchmaking, I'm personally not against it in a way because to me Fortnite's one of those things. The more you play it, the better you get. That's with any game, but it's especially with Fortnite just because the way the mechanics are with the building. Because I've seen a lot of players, they might be garbage in a shootout or something, but they can build a whole house in 3 seconds. Like
Right.
they
With
um
bathrooms all furnished. Yeah.
yeah yeah have a garage and everything, but
3-car garage.
oh yeah um made out of metal, wood, and brick for just decor.
Right.
But anyway, like I said, I personally haven't had much of an issue with the skill-based matchmaking. I noticed last couple of games and stuff like that, I have had like bots, a lot of bots and stuff like that. I think that's just a sign that there are less people playing Fortnite at this point. I think a lot main reason is because it's near the end of season 2, and a lot of people have already done all that they wanted to, so there's not as many people playing it right now. That might be why there are more bots. I'm hoping that's the case and not just the fact like they're creating more obbies and putting in random AIs rather than trying to pull people together, because to me
Mhm.
that would make no sense at that point. But yeah, I think at the end of this season, hopefully at the start of the next season, people will come back and stuff like that. I know there are rumors about what they're gonna do for next season. Some are saying they're gonna flood the map. Some people aren't, or whatever. Some people are saying Aquaman's gonna be the main skin or whatever for the next battle pass, which would be interesting. Um,
You know,
I know. Go
something
for
I
it.
want to touch on quick
Yeah.
is we were talking about like there's no way to know like what's coming with Fortnite or with updates and things like that. And you're talking about like people are hinting at things, right? It
Right.
seems like the only way that we can get any information is from leaks on Twitter. Like
Yeah.
people like data mining. Like that I feel like that's the only way you can get any
Yeah.
information. And that's not cool. Like
Right. I think Epic's issue is the fact that they're being too secretive with certain things. Like I think they're trying to create a storyline with the battle royale, which is interesting. I think because it adds an extra piece to the game, but I think they're being too secretive on certain things. So then when they come out with a new season or something, nobody knows anything unless you've done a Twitter deep dive or you follow a content creator on YouTube or somewhere that is big into diving into figuring out what's next for Fortnite. So I
right,
think that's a big part of their problem is they're a little too secretive, which is I think why they uh, stopped doing patch notes too. Because I think I just thought of this. Maybe a reason why they stopped doing patch notes is if they add in stuff to get ready for the next season, they don't want people to find out about it,
right.
which I think is still kind of dumb, especially when you talked about like the whole competitive thing. Like if they change stuff to how like guns work or how certain items work and they don't know about it and they go in a tournament and it could end up screwing them, they're that could screw them out of a lot of money. But yeah,
True.
I I think in the end, I think battle royales as a whole aren't going to necessarily die. I think they'll still be around. I don't think they're going to be as popular as they were, especially Fortnite. But I think Fortnite will have its highs and lows. Like I think as season 3 starts up, it'll go back up again because it'll more people want to play it at the start of the season and everything like that. Um, I think Fortnite's biggest issue was like any game. It was there's so much hype surrounding it when it first came out. It just skyrocketed to the very top, and Fortnite in particular, compared to other games that have done the same, Fortnite sort of rose even above that. And like we talked about with the whole competitive and everything like that, it brought so much interest to it that it reached such a high point that when it started declining, like any game does, people were like, "Oh, Fortnite's dying," even though it just declined faster than some other games because it rose up so high. I
It
think.
was rushed. It was rushed.
Yes. Yes.
Can I throw out two theories real quick?
For it.
Um, I think that the way that Fortnite came around and everyone played Fortnite. Like you go back to like late 2017, early 2018, like Kelly, everyone was playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Right.
And so I don't think there's ever going to be a game that booms as big as Fortnite will. I don't think it could ever be touched again. So, a game that could just explode like that.
The only game that reminds me a little bit of it is GTA 5. Then again, that's a different kind of game though.
Right.
That one rose really high and it stayed there because they change it all the time and they add stuff to it all the time too. So I think Fortnite they tried to, I'm not saying they tried to copy GTA because again they're completely different games, but they probably wanted to imitate some like the popularity like GTA had. Because I noticed like when they first came out and stuff like that, like you said, they came out with updates every week and everything like that, and they posted patch notes. They kept up with it and everything. I think at some point they just realized if they keep trying to change and update things at the pace that they did, they'd run out of ideas. I think
Mm.
I think they're at that point right now, and that's why they've sort of lagged on a little bit more than usual, especially with this season. Again, because of COVID-19 and everything, that's probably a big reason why that they've extended this season. But even so, I think it's gotten to a point where they're sort of just stuck. I think is the best word to say. They know what they have stuff planned out, but I don't think they have stuff planned out as well as they did at the very beginning because I think even when they made the game, they didn't expect it to rise as much, like as fast as it did. So when it did, they felt like they had to push everything out and everything and stuff like that. So now that it's started to decline and stuff like that, they're trying to regain that. They can't change things as fast as they could before because they don't have as many ideas.
Right, and they had the storyline. I've heard that they had the storyline written from like season 2 to season 8, I think it was, and then after that, it was season to season based. Because if you look at,
Right.
you can go back and watch videos on YouTube of like every live event and every story mode, every story part, from season 2 to season 8, and it all links somehow. Actually, really, even to the end of season 10, or before chapter 2 started, because that's interesting. Everything linked to a point. Everything had some kind of connection, but now it's like there's really no storyline, and I think that was such a big grab for a lot of people, was that it did something different. Like no battle royale like this had a storyline. Apex has a little bit of a storyline. Warzone, it's just Call of Duty. But Fortnite, Fortnite had something. It had every week something changed about the map, something changed with the storyline, and like it was so good.
Yeah.
And now it's just flat.
It still does that, but now it feels like it's trying to copy itself rather than having its own idea of what it wants to do.
Right. And here's my last theory for you. Like I said.
Yeah.
Hot take central right here.
Okay.
I think that Fortnite will have a rebound. Because if you look at the biggest games of all time, right? The first one that comes to mind with like a rebound is Minecraft. Okay? Minecraft for so long, back in like 2012, 13, 14, was like the game. Everyone played Minecraft. And it dipped for a lot of years in the 15, 16, 17 range. 18 came back up, 19 came back up, especially at the end of 2019. Everyone was playing Minecraft again. For whatever reason. And I think that, in a year's
the whole
time...
10-year anniversary thing.
Yeah, and I think in a year's time, I think Fortnite would have a rebound. I honestly think it will, but I'm also a hopeful Fortnite player, so...
That's fair. I think one last thing before we wrap it up and stuff like that, I know, like I said, I like watch Ninja and stuff like that, and some of the others that play it. Like I know they talked about things that could be changed about the game and stuff like that, or things that they could bring back. Um, for season 3, like any changes. I know there are rumors of it being underwater or whatever and stuff like that. Personally, for me, some changes I'd like to see for next season are, I wouldn't mind seeing traps coming back, but not having them be as big a deal as they were. Like not they don't do as much damage, because I think part of the reason why they took them away is because they were sort of being abused in some ways. But I personally liked them. I also would like to see wow, I'm blanking on the name of the location. It's from like the original it's one of the original uh
Locations.
locations. Yeah.
Okay.
Towers.
Tilted
The
Towers.
towers. Just because it was like a version of that, because right now in season 2 the version of Tilted Towers is pretty much the agency, but it's so small.
Yeah. That's why
Like
I think like places like Pleasant and Salty are so popular.
yeah, I personally, my favorite place is Lazy Lake.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, I guess we disagree on that. But what what are some changes that you'd like to see? Like, what are there some things you'd like them to bring back? Are there some things you'd like to take out? Like, hint, hint, I don't like rocket launchers. I think they should take those out, but they never will. But what would you like to see?
I would like to see more of a clear like this is competitive, this is casual. You know, I don't want to see like competitive players like we have arena solos, we have arena duos, which is like your like quote unquote competitive Fortnite. But
Right.
how many times do you see players in public games that are just absolutely cracked and they just like they're insane at the game?
Yeah, they end up with like 13 kills or something in solos. So they killed like, or like 20. I think the largest I've ever seen was like 20 kills. So they killed almost a quarter of the entire game by themselves.
Yeah, I've seen there's a streamer that I watch called Mr. Fresh Asian or just Fresh. He is one of the best players in the world. Literally, he this season he got like 35 kills in a solo squad. And I'm pretty sure that was no, that was like just right because they just took out skill-based matchmaking from squads. And so it's a lot of fun because you get a lot of bots. But still, he got 37
Yeah.
kills. That's insane.
Right.
But I think weapon-wise, things that I want to see changed. I don't mind rocket launchers. Kelly, you just don't know how to build. It happens. Something that is interesting in Fortnite now, though, they just took out skill-based matchmaking from squads. So you can go into a squads game, and you can kill literally a quarter of the lobby. Because I think I saw a number once, and Kelly, I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but there was a number I saw, like 80 players out of the 100 players were bots.
Yeah, it was like Cypher or something like that. He did that.
Like, that is an insane number. And the fact that you can go into squads now and probably get a number similar to that, of course you're going to get a lot of kills, and then all of the good players are going to be at the end, and that's when you get frustrated and die,
Right, and that's when it becomes like a sweat vest or anything. But,
right.
Alright. So, now that we're kind of nearing the end of this, is there anything that you'd like to see, again, this is all recorded before Season 3 starts, so we don't really know what's coming into the next season, but is there anything that you'd like to see either come back, any new features come in, stuff like that?
I think if there was one thing that I could be kind of broad about, but it's definitely something that makes a lot of sense if you play Fortnite.
Right.
I want more consistency when it comes to gunplay. Now, Fortnite has always had a bad history with shotguns per se, and
Yeah.
Going back to the double pump days when pumps were vaulted, pumps were overpowered and then they were not. Tacs were overpowered and then they're not. I just want a season where we have shotguns that are just consistent and they hit consistent damage. When it comes to other items in the game, I think you can bring back more opportunities to heal. I don't think there's very many opportunities for healing items now. Like, you
No.
have the bandage bazooka, but like that's not really, the
I
best
hate
tactically.
it, honestly.
It makes sense for squads, but it's also like it takes up 2 slots, and you could
Yeah.
be carrying other weapons or other heals. So I think if there's more versatility when it comes to healing items and being able to have more options and more just variety, I think is the proper term.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, with me, I'd like to see more variety too. Like this last season and stuff was the first time I played in like a long time, so I loved going fishing and getting like the different slurp fish and flounders and stuff like that. So like items like that, I'd love to see more of, and I'd like to see them do more things with them. So I think that'd be kind of interesting, like you said, like give more options for people to heal or just get shield and stuff like that. Because honestly, like it's kind of tiring just to always either always have like a med kit or like minis or like a full shield pot or something. So that's why I like that they had fish. I'd like to see more of that.
I like quick heals. Quick heals are my favorite
Yeah.
things.
It's
So,
especially it's so much fun, especially near the end, because then it makes it more intense.
Right, you
But
know,
in a
like
good
your
way.
your mini shields, your fish, your flopper, slurp fish, small fry,
Yeah.
even, things like that. If you know, like the apples and the mushrooms that you could forage and you can eat.
Yeah.
Right, they gave you 5. If you had the ability to like hold those, like that would be insane because like you could just keep popping a boom, 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 boom. So I
Right.
think little things like that to improve the speed of healing would definitely make the end game go a lot smoother.
Right. And also to like with variety of like guns and items and stuff, I'd also like to see a variety like in the map itself, because I noticed last time I played Fortnite before season 2 was when they had like a desert region and like winter and stuff like that. So
Right,
it
they
made
had
it feel
biomes.
like, yeah, it was like they had different maps together. So I'd like to see a map with like different areas where it feels like it could be completely different than the rest of the map. And I know there are rumors that they're going to be flooding the map. I don't really know how that's going to work, if we're going to be able to like walk or like swim underwater and loot there, or how that
Yeah,
works. I have no
I
idea,
wouldn't.
but
It wouldn't surprise me with Epic Games if they just put the whole map underwater.
yeah, like it'd be interesting and stuff. But like I said, if they implement that somehow and make the map seem different, because that was the one thing I noticed with this season, is it felt stale at times because it seemed like the whole map was just the same. And it was
Right.
always a quick grab to go to the agency, because that was like where the best stuff was. Like there were vaults in other locations, but the agency was always like the best spot. Similar to how like all the way back in season 1, Tilted Towers was always seen as the best spot. So I want to see more variety in the map itself, and maybe I kind of want to see them get rid of the helicopters, but I don't think they will, just because I don't know.
Just want to correct you on something. It was season
Yeah.
2 for Tilted Towers.
Oh, season 2, okay.
That season 2 was like the first big change where they added a lot of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. I was gonna say I couldn't remember when they brought that in or not, but yeah, that's my thing. Is I think both of us agree, more variety with gunplay and items, and more variety in the map itself, I think.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
before we go, thank you, James, for coming on and doing this show with me. If you'd like, the last couple minutes are yours. You can shout out anything you'd like. Any of your social medias or your YouTubes or anything?
Cool. So the first thing, thank you, Kelly, for bringing me onto Kelly's Corner. So make sure you guys go check out Spawn Point is Taken on Instagram. They're doing a lot of good lot of good stuff over there. So make sure you go check
all
them out
memes.
First of all, go check those out. Check them out over there. But if you want to check me out as well, at BigMitch1015 on Twitter, Instagram, and then I have a Facebook page, BigMitch1015_TTV on Facebook. Twitch.tv/BigMitch1015. It's all pretty much the same. Everything's mostly BigMitch1015, BIGMITCH 1015, all one word.
Yeah, that's
I'm sure we'll
and
have
YouTube.
them linked down in the description below too. Oh, yeah.
Can't forget
and
about the YouTube. And the YouTube.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
always
we'll
forget
have them
about
all
my
linked down
YouTube.
below.
Yeah,
Yeah. Alright, well, again, thanks for coming in, and
of course.
there we go. I don't know how to end this, so... Bye.
Adios!